What we're looking at is Tuna El Kabel, which is south of Armana. And there are catacombs with thousands and thousands of mummified ibis, falcons, and baboons. And so you could either bring your bird or your baboon, or you could purchase one from the priests. This priests were making money off of this at this point. And there are all these catacombs that are carved out, and then the mummified animal would be put in a limestone box that you see here, and there are thousands and thousands. Some of them are in jars, but these catacombs go on for a mile underground. And when we came out, we could see where the mummification occurred. So these were cloths that were used to bandage and wrap. This is the same room, but I had to take two different pictures. And this would have been the area where they actually did the mummification of the animals. And you could still smell the smell of the resins and all that they were using to mummify them. Big dedication to the baboon. And going south, once we got on to our Nile cruise, we made a stop at Combe Obo. And at this point, I got to see my first cobra up close and live. We were told that they were defanged. I've heard that they've actually had their mouths sewn shut and that they'll starve to death. It's terribly cruel, but it was interesting to see that. It's Kyle, and the guy just threw a couple of cobras around his neck. He handed one to me, but if you notice, I have a good grip on his neck. I was kind of talking to him.
Oh.
Oh, gee.
But it was part of the experience of seeing Egypt. So at Combe Obo, again, a newer temple. You see a lot of the Greek influence with the top of the columns and so forth. And this would have been dedicated to the crocodile, the Sobek, or the crocodile god. And there were hundreds of mummified crocodiles that have been found at the site. They were farming them. And do you know why Nile crocodiles can't deal with their feelings?
They're in
Yeah,
denial.
Because they live in denial.
Thank you, Sally.
This was not my tour group, but this is our guide here, and this is another very famous Egyptologist. And so it was probably a warmer time of year, they were swimming. And but what I point out is there are between 350 and 400 known deaths per year due to crocodile attack. They'll come right up in your little boat and snatch you. So there's a lot of people who disappear that are not even counted. So I don't know about being in this water here, but we'll look at two final temples. This is the Hathor Temple, which I showed earlier, where you could go up on the roof, and just the beautiful interior work, looking at the hypostyle columns that are very tall, really intricately carved ceilings that still have their pigment. So this is just one of the most well-preserved temples in all of Egypt. And I mean, you just...
Wow. Oh, beautiful.
look at the stars.
It's beautiful, and it's beautiful architecture.
Again, like the public would have been allowed in some of the outer areas, but then only the inner sanctum would have been accessible. So I think the public could have seen this outer portion of the temple, but the inner portion would have been off limits.
Wow. Wow.
This is the Dendura light bulb. Now, the ancient alien people will say this is an early light bulb. Other people will say that this is a lily, a lotus flower with a snake.
Sure.
Because it is.
But pretty neat carving. We had to get into this little tiny little room that was underground to be able to photograph this. Finally, I'll finish with Aswan, the end of where we sailed, and the Temple of Philae. And this is kind of at the southern end of the country. This particular temple was underwater when they built the Aswan Dam, and they flooded and to create like, oh, I forget the name of the lake. It's after one of the leaders there. But you can see the water line of where it was flooded. So they actually built a dam around the area where this temple was. They disassembled it and reassembled it on higher ground. We had to take a boat to this island where it was located, and just to walk down these halls under these by these pillars was pretty amazing. But to me, this is what you would see more in terms of the architecture in like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and much more of a Greek influence in how it was built. Beautiful.
Good grief.
Really interesting looking.
And that's the end.
That's the end.
Wow.
Yay.